September. So we'll have to see. All my words. Oh, I gotta let it. There we go. I'm gonna continue, even though you're getting my voice. Again, welcome to the M&A Forum. Everybody, again, virtual edition. I thought we were done. We're not. But nonetheless, we're going to press on. We're going to have a good discussion. Ryan's here. You can see him up there in the pane. Ryan Firth. He's the founder and the president of Mercer Street Personal Financial Services. I guess I'll run it, Butkus, or I don't know, do the walk of shame a little bit here because in retrospect, Ryan, I don't think I got enough oomph in the let me say the publicity for what we're going to talk about, because it really is important. This is M&A. I haven't seen too many transactions that have been, let's say, closed with cryptocurrency. Maybe George has, but it is fundamentally important to business growth, business investing in the future. I think the latest statistics, and maybe Ryan's got some other ones, but I know 4 years ago, this last month, a Bitcoin was worth, I think, $1,000. And I just checked before I got on. It's not quite 50,000 today, but it was yesterday, 50,000. So that compound growth rate is pretty substantial. And what I think 10%, I'll say, of the investing public, I'm not sure exactly what the survey covered here recently, but 10% of the investing public are involved in one way or another in cryptocurrency, either directly in the currency or in some of the other so-called fintech operations, Coinbase, which is the exchange, and some other things. So it is an important part of what's happening on the business scene today. Depending on your view, it's a great opportunity, or it threatens some of the biggest banks in this country, who have admitted, at least Jamie Dimon has, that he was standing flat-footed, not only on, I think, cryptocurrency, but on a whole bunch of other fintech development. So it's important, and we're trying to develop good businessmen here. So Ryan, I apologize a little bit for not putting a bigger sign around what we're doing, because I think it is really, really important. But looking forward to getting better understanding and letting you help us out with all of that. Before we jump to that, I want to, if you want to roll the next slide, Bob, will acknowledge our sponsors. And Bob, if you got a little forum business before we introduce Ryan, I appreciate it.
Just a little bit. The first item is we sent out a survey to everybody about our last meeting, which was an attempt at in-person and via Zoom, about the quality and the things that people liked about it and didn't like. We haven't had exactly an overwhelming response so far. So if you got a copy and were asked to participate, please give us your opinions on those questions. We'll take about 5 minutes to fill the thing out and then send it back. Regarding the online versus in-person, we'd really like to continue having a mixed environment of online and broadcast in the future. Of course, as Mike says, that depends on the COVID situation. Hopefully by our September meeting, a lot more of the anti-vaxxers are going to get vaccinated, and we can have this thing under control, and we can go back to our mixed presentation. The third and final thing is sponsors. we'd really like to have some people step up and become a sponsor. We're going to be rolling out a new package of benefits for sponsors, and I think we're going to do that. We decided what, September, end of September, if I
Yes.
recall right.
Yeah. Yes.
So we'll be making some adjustments there. Maybe Mike and George, what we need to do is kind of give a preview of what those are going to be. And I'll take the blame for not doing that yet. I'll try to get that done in the next week or so, so everybody can anticipate if they sponsor what they'll get in return.
Good idea. Thank you.
So consider becoming a sponsor. You will be famous. Your name will be showing up all over the place, and you can tell everybody you're a sponsor of the M&A Forum. And that's about it for me, Mike.
Okay, well, I guess two things. One, I know Bob has picked up a little extra equipment so we can truly keep the mixed media, let's call it, going with both in person and virtual, and that's going to be helpful. I think there were a couple of issues that we identified in the last time we did in July when we tried to do that. It was nice to be able to do that. We just had a couple of things we needed to iron out. And again, please put your survey, fill out the survey to help us out. And second thing I would say, mention sponsors. I see Mr. Lee Jones there.
And just, I don't remember seeing a survey. Can you guys send that out again?
Oh,
I'll try. I used the survey capability in our membership package, which isn't quite as strong as the one that as SurveyMonkey, but I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Anyway, Lee, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little about Empyrean? Well, we got a second here.
Well, the name's not too cool, but what I do is exit planning for owners that are working on preparing their business for an exit. We also work with the owner to prepare the owner for the exit and make sure they have a financial plan, which we don't do, but we make sure that they have a balanced approach to their exit. And frequently they don't want to do that for 10 years. And we just work on building the value of the business and making it run better, higher revenue, better profitability and cash flow in the meantime, which is a pretty good thing. Well, you get benefit now and benefit later both.
I'm curious, do any of your folks have any cryptocurrency in their future or in their portfolio at this point that you know about?
I only have one of my clients that has talked about cryptocurrency. And it's not, it's a side hustle, if you will. It's not in the business that I'm coaching on. It's another one of his, he invests in real estate and some other things. And he has a grandson who is a crypto genius, technically. He wrote an app, he wrote an app for phones to allow them to trade and all this kind of stuff. And so he's doing well on that. And so his grandson is driving his initiative, and it's still in early phases, but he's making like 30% a month.
Okay, that's all the more reason to wrap our minds around what Ryan's going to talk about here. So thanks, Lee. Thanks for being a sponsor and over the last several years, appreciate it very, very much. With that, and unless Bob, you have anything else, we will talk about cryptocurrency again. I was introduced to it probably maybe about 4 years ago, and just kind of walked around saying, it's like it's kind of like I have the attitude that a lot of iPhone doubters had back when Steve Jobs first, flashed it on the screen. It's like, who needs all this? I've got two brothers who held onto their flip phones until about, 4 or 5 years ago, and they didn't want to change. What was wrong with nice little flip phone. But eventually it's kind of caught on, as you might obviously know. I'm sure you know. And I think crypto now, again, at least the survey I saw reported yesterday was like 10% of the investors that were surveyed had involvement in crypto somehow. A lot of the new investors, in fact, that was where it was really interesting. I think new investors, 20% of people who started investing in 2020 for the first time, 37% had cryptocurrency in their portfolio. So these are typically young, they were maybe Robinhood investors and so forth. So we are about, if you want to roll the slide up, be glad to introduce Ryan Firth. He's the president, founder, Main Street, Mercer Street, personal financial services, investment advisory firm, does personal planning. And he's also the associated director of Houston Blockchain Alliance. He's got over 2 decades of work with large and medium-sized companies, worked with and for various accounting firms, regional accounting and management consulting firms, and investment banking, hedge funds, and private equity, both in a couple of big cities, New York and London, and Houston's trying to catch up. Worked in Denver and in Houston, so he brings an international perspective as well as a broader US perspective. He's a business administration graduate and from University of Colorado in Boulder, one of my favorite places and favorite schools, a number of certificates. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to try and see if we can use the technology to get to your screen. So take it away, my friend.
Thank you, Mike, for that warm introduction. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. I know these are not the circumstances we wanted to be here. Ideally, we'd be in person, but here we are. We'll try to make the most of it virtually. I am going to attempt to share my screen, and hopefully this goes well. Bear with me. Okay.
Yay, working. Oh, look at this.
Working
All
well.
right.
Okay.
All right.
So hopefully everybody can see this. So the topic today at hand is business of buying and selling on a blockchain with cryptocurrencies. This is going to be a really kind of high level overview. I'm not going to do a deep dive into this topic, but hopefully you'll walk away with some concepts, some ideas. I don't know if you'll be able to implement this in your business, your current practice, but hopefully it'll be insightful for you. So just a quick disclosure that this is purely for informational purposes only. It should not be used for or relied upon for investment, legal, tax advice. If you need that kind of advice, seek out a professional who can help you with those matters. There's my mug again, we already talked about me. So here's the outline. So roughly, I just want to kind of, to Mike's point, give you an idea of why you should care about blockchain and cryptocurrencies. This is a quickly growing industry. There's, Mike had mentioned that there was the direct listing of Coinbase, which is a very popular exchange in the US for transacting in cryptocurrencies. So, this is a space that's growing. It's not going anywhere. It's, and we'll talk about some potential headwinds down, with cryptocurrencies, but it really impacts, right now, it probably doesn't impact a lot of people's lives. I think Mike had mentioned 10%, there are figures between 10 and 20% of folks in the US have exposure to crypto of some sort. So I think that's only going to continue to grow. I think we're going to see more adoption. This is going to be something that's going to be easy for people to transact in. You're already seeing applications that have been built. I mentioned Coinbase. It's pretty easy to go on there, hook up your bank account, purchase crypto if you wanted to, dabble in it a little bit. There's some issues around money laundering. So know your customer, money laundering, anti-money laundering, that, you have to jump through some hoops there. But there's more regulation around it. It's just going to continue to become more mature as we go. So we'll get in more into that in the next slide. And then I also want to kind of give just a brief overview of, what is blockchain, what's crypto, what's the difference between the two. They're really the same. Crypto is just runs on a blockchain technology. So spoiler alert there, but we'll talk about some of the terms and again, really kind of high level. How does a blockchain work? How does crypto work? What does it mean? Then I pulled a quote from Davy Crockett. So we'll also talk about where is Texas in, relative to other states. The US, I think, gets a lot of press about not being a very inviting place for this tech innovation. There are other countries that tend to, roll out the red carpet for these firms and these projects, crypto projects. So Texas is trying to position itself as being more friendly, as being a business friendly. I mean, it is a business friendly state. So embracing kind of this blockchain crypto technology. Wyoming has kind of, come out and taken the lead to begin with, but, Texas has a lot of resources. It's a very big state, huge economy. So we'll just talk about some latest trends that are happening in driving businesses to come to Texas to either mine, and we'll talk about what mining is, have mining operations and other infrastructure sort of industries that are, can locate here. And then this next topic, small and medium-sized businesses, how could you use cryptocurrency? How could a business use it? I think this is probably of greatest interest to this audience. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then lastly, we'll talk about some issues that are potentially going to make adoption of cryptocurrency more difficult. There are these on-ramps, again, Coinbase, the exchanges, that consumers can go to in order to purchase cryptocurrency. And so, and we've already seen recently with the infrastructure bill that's been passed, there was a provision in there, kind of last minute provision that the Senate passed, that would make anybody who deals in cryptocurrency basically a broker. And so there are ramifications of that, and would impact any company, whether they're operating at mining, whether they're an exchange, any sort of activity related to cryptocurrency, then that individual or company could be deemed a broker. So that was kind of a hot topic, and something that will hopefully get reconciled in as the House goes through and puts through their own legislation. So that's kind of broad outline. And if anybody has any questions, feel free. Happy to do Q&A live, or we can hold questions to the end. I've got a slide that's asked for questions, but I'm happy to be interrupted and go off topic if anybody has any burning questions they want answered.
Yeah, typically easiest if some people will drop them in the chat, and then we can cover them at the end. But yeah, if there's something that you really want to get on the table, shout out, put your hand up, and we'll put you on. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Mike. So again, why does blockchain matter? It's technology that really is changing the way that people exchange value. So when you think about it, you go, we have sort of a barter system. I guess we're going back in time. You have barter system. I've got grain. Somebody has, I'm peddling grain. Somebody has wheat. We exchange grain for wheat, and kind of assess value that way. Then we get to the invention of money, and you can pay for services or goods with money. And I don't have this corn or whatever in order to exchange for some other good or services. And so this is just kind of the next evolution. You've got a form of money, a virtual money. It's not tangible. There's no coins being issued, no paper. It's not backed by any central government. So it has some unique properties to it. It really is kind of a money for the internet, really, when you think about it. It's built. The only reason we have cryptocurrency is because we have the internet. We have a way to communicate broadly. And even when you think about when the internet first, think about, I guess 2020, you would probably never want to give your credit card information or buy something online, right? Somebody could get a hold of that and purchase things unbeknownst to you. So now we have a means of, and things have changed. And actually, when you purchase things online and use a credit card, there is encryption behind that, similar to encryption that is used as part of cryptocurrencies. So basically, now we're able to go online. You're able to purchase goods or services with your credit card. It's pretty secure. Obviously there are still breaches, data breaches, and somebody could swipe your credit card information and still have fraudulent activity on it. But with cryptocurrency, it really is a more secure means. There's still hacks. So an example would be Mt. Gox was a exchange back in 2013 that was hacked. It was based out of Japan, and so somebody absconded with all of the cryptocurrency, and I don't think anyone who had deposits there was able to get their full amount of crypto back. They probably got pennies on the dollar equivalent, but so it's not foolproof. But if you don't keep your money on an exchange or your crypto on an exchange, you can self-custody it. And so there are ways to have it on a wallet, a hardware wallet, or even a paper wallet, and so it's a really unique asset in that regard. If you had this hardware wallet or this paper wallet, you could take millions of dollars worth of crypto and have it on your person or have it in a safe place, go to another country, and as long as you know what those keys are and how to access it, you can then transact this system. And I think when you're looking at it for cross-border payments, there are some cryptos that are specifically trying to address that. So XRP is a token that is designed for banks and kind of a replacement for, in a way. And so you can move millions of dollars, and it costs pennies to do this. So it's really quite extraordinary. And then we touched on the growth.
I'm sorry, Ryan, that's the threat to the big, I guess, the traditional institutions, isn't it? That where they're making money, or there's fees and everything else. Here you've got, let's call it almost costless exchanges. So that's the threat, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that there's going to be compression of commissions and fees, and we'll talk about this later about central bank digital currencies. That's really, I think, an existential threat to banks. So essentially, a central bank could create their own digital currency, virtual currency, whatever you want to call it, and this could be issued directly to consumers and So there's really no need for the middleman of a bank in some sense. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. China has already experimented. They have a pilot program with their digital yuan, I guess, and so it's it's still in early stages, but it's interesting because then there are privacy issues around that, and state surveillance, and because they know what people are doing with their money. So so that's kind of the potential dark side of having a CBDC. But yes, the question is what's banks' role in the future, and will they be around? I think that there probably will be, and it'll just be interesting to see how that plays out. But going to the growth of the industry, I think if you look at a proxy for this growth, you can look at the total market cap of all cryptocurrencies combined. So recently in May of this year, April-May timeframe, it eclipsed $2 trillion US dollars. It started, I think, these assets tend to be highly volatile. So you've got, boom and bust cycles. So 2017 was the last time that we had a really a bullish market, and then the bubble burst. And so Bitcoin as a proxy for the entire market, you could look at it, it was about $20,000. It approached that in early 2017. After that, it collapsed a few months later in 2018, and it was down to, $4,000. So, that's 80% decrease in value. So, and now you look at it more recently, April-May timeframe, Bitcoin, again, as a proxy for the total market, was, hit highs of 60,000. And then it had a drawback soon thereafter. In July, August, it was, touching in the 30,000. So again, pretty significant 50% decline in value. So anyway, all that said, I just want to give you an idea of the size. So Bitcoin itself has a market cap being the price of Bitcoin times this Bitcoin in circulation. Currently, there's about 17 million in circulation. So it's approaching $1 trillion again. And the other cryptocurrencies are combined are make up the remainder of that. So, and I don't have a chart on here, but we talk about, in the industry, they talk about Bitcoin dominance. So really, Bitcoin traditionally has been largest by market cap, and it's usually 2/3 of the market. It's the oldest cryptocurrency. It's been around over a decade now, and so it's sort of the original guard, and is just a good proxy to look at the market in total. So and even beyond just cryptocurrencies themselves and the value of them, I think you need to also look at the infrastructure around that. So we talked about exchanges like Coinbase. There are also sort of neo banks that are coming about. Even established traditional financial institutions like Fidelity are coming up with prime custodial, prime brokerage sort of services for financial advisors and sophisticated investors. And then you've got, even the banks are getting in on it. The JP Morgan has their JP Morgan coin that they use, I think, internally. And so I think the obvious sort of place that we're going to see some penetration where there's a lot of opportunity for growth is in financial services. And blockchain can be applied to other industries. As an example, the technology is utilized in tracking of I guess, of inventory and sort of the whole supply chain cycle. Walmart has been using a blockchain, I think developed with IBM in collaboration with IBM. So that's sort of a private blockchain. It's not really a public blockchain. So public blockchains would be like Bitcoin and these other that we talked about. So yeah, so it's growing. There's I don't know what the compound annual growth rate is on it, but it's again, if you use the proxy of the value of cryptocurrencies, it's Mike had mentioned that it's gone from in the course of 5 years from $1,000 to 60,000. So it's pretty rapid growth in a short period of time, and there's an expectation that's only going to continue. The other interesting thing that's happened of late is that you're starting to see corporations that are carrying crypto on their balance sheet. So MicroStrategy was kind of, Michael Saylor is the CEO. He was kind of a proponent of this strategy and has been very vocal. And so MicroStrategy has, purchased Bitcoin over the past several, I would say, year or so. And it has, again, has subjected themselves to that volatility. As prices move, they have to take impairment charges then on those holdings. So that's been interesting to see. And even Tesla is, electric vehicle maker, has taken some cryptocurrency on balance sheet and has talked about taking payment for cars in cryptocurrency. I haven't heard any news about Apple because they have a pretty huge balance sheet and a lot of cash sitting around. I haven't seen any news about them purchasing crypto, but I think that trend will only continue probably, which is a boost to prices for crypto, obviously. And then I think the other thing that Mike had touched on earlier was that this is being embraced by younger folks. So really, when you think about the cypherpunks that are behind this kind of movement of cryptocurrency, it started before Satoshi Nakamoto, who is the pseudonymous creator of Bitcoin. There were other projects, Hashcash by Adam Black being one, and others that kind of were the parts that helped to bring about Bitcoin. And so those individuals tend to be more of the Generation X type, maybe some younger baby boomers. But this really has been embraced by millennials, Gen Xers, and even Gen Z, I guess. So when you think about those generations, obviously baby boomers have most of the assets right now. But as those are passed on to younger generations, I think that we'll probably see that there's more interest in cryptocurrencies, and again, that could be a driver for growth or for increase in prices, I suppose. So, but yeah, I don't know, and I don't have a breakdown of kind of who holds crypto by generations, but I know that just anecdotally or just reading through stories, it sounds like older generations don't tend to have as much exposure to it as younger generations, but younger generations don't have the net worth that older generations do. So, just because somebody has 10% of their net worth tied up in cryptocurrency, if they only have a net worth of $1,000, and they only have $100 of crypto. But nevertheless, I think that it's going to continue to drive adoption in this. And that's not to say that every generation is, some are skeptical of cryptocurrencies as they rightly should be or could be. And so it just so happens that younger generations tend to be early adopters and are more comfortable with technology. So that's probably what
Can I jump in with a question here?
Yes, please.
Why do we need cryptocurrency? I mean, what problem does it solve?
Yeah, good question. So the really it came about as one of the issues was double spend. So how can you ensure that when you buy something online that, that you're not, I pay you $1, but it's a digital dollar. How is it possible that that I could do that and not like fabricate another dollar and, sort of create counterfeit digital currency. So with cryptocurrency, there is a process, and here we'll just move on to the next slide. Process whereby new cryptocurrency coins are minted or mined. And so through this process, it ensures that everybody's on the same page, that everybody agrees that yes, this one Bitcoin belongs to this one person or this one address. It's been recorded. Everybody on the network agrees, and so so we know we can kind of see the history of where and follow follow the money, as it were, the Bitcoin as it moves around. So the way it works is that there's a process called mining. So mining is the creation of these coins, of this virtual currency, cryptocurrency. And the mining works in that there are mathematical problems that that these miners, and the miners themselves are just basically CPU, or well, they're application-specific integrated circuits, ASICs, they're machines that are built purposely to solve these problems, these mathematical problems, and they're housed in warehouses, and then you've got a bunch of these miners that are racks and racks, kind of like servers, if you were to think of a server farm, sort of like that setup, and they solve these mathematical problems, and it's kind of a lottery system. So it's just they're just trying random numbers until they get the right number, and once they get it, then it's broadcast across the network, and it's whatever miner successfully solves that problem is recognized as having done so and receives a reward in whatever the cryptocurrency. So usually use Bitcoin as an example. So Bitcoin right now, I believe it's 6.25 Bitcoin are issued every approximately 10 minutes. And so it's sort of inflationary in that regard. Now that reward halves, there's when Bitcoin first came out, I believe it was like $100 or $50, or sorry, not dollars, but Bitcoins were issued. But since every 4 years, thereabouts, there's a halving event where the reward is cut in half from, it'll go from 6.25 to 3.125 or whatever the math works out on that, probably off a little bit, but it'll reduce the reward that the miner gets. So so this is an incentive for miners to participate and put their hashing power. Hashing is the term used when these miners are solving these problems. Putting their resources towards solving these problems, the reward they get is the cryptocurrency. And so it's for them to participate, to make the network secure. And so there are other attached to these miners are nodes, and the nodes basically keep a record of all the transactions that have happened in the past. And so there's again a history that goes back over 10 years. It's immutable, which means it's very difficult to change those records. It's kind of like a big database, the blockchain. It's you've got records that are all attached to each other in one long string. You can't really break the string in order to do so. You have to like rehash everything that's been hashed before, and everybody, all these nodes have to be in agreement that that they all have the same record and it hasn't been changed at all. If there's a node or a miner that doesn't have the same, has a record that doesn't match up with everybody else, it won't be accepted by the network, and basically they'll have spent their resources trying to mine a coin that they won't get. Basically it's because it will be seen as being not the true winner of this lottery reward, I guess. So
Is that why the Chinese were running the miners off for other reasons? But I know that you one of your earlier point, the bullet point talked about Texas and miners and Wyoming and so forth. A little concerned about the time, so at some point do you want to talk about how that can impact here in terms of the mining?
yeah, so with mining, it's a very energy intensive process. There's a difficulty adjustment, so every so often. So what you're talking about, Mike, is that China has pretty much banned all cryptocurrency operations, and so they've made it illegal. And so essentially, what's happened is these mining operations they've had to, exit China and move to other locations that are more friendly. But so they're very energy intensive, and so one of the biggest costs is really electricity. And so with Texas, having its own kind of grid that is good and bad, as we saw.
Famously, yes.
Yeah, as we saw this past winter. Having its own grid, having kind of renewable energy, having a lot of good resources. I think we're starting to see some of these miners move to Texas, and so Texas is trying to be sort of that place where these mining operators can come and use the electricity, and so yeah, we've seen that. Wyoming again has been very friendly in I don't know if they've been trying to attract mining operations. I'm sure they have, but they don't have the same resources that we do here in Texas. So I think they've been more friendly as from when you look at sort of the legislation that's been passed, taxation, maybe tax incentives, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So basically Texas is, and well positioned, I guess, as a destination for these miners who are leaving China or have already left. And there are other places too, if you're near hydroelectric power, it's a very cheap source. You could have mining operations there. These things are very, generate a lot of heat too, as you can imagine. So keeping these rigs cool is, also takes resources, energy. And there's just a lot to it. But is that helpful, Mike?
It is indeed, and so we have to be mindful of time. But Ray Fernandez has got his hand up and said, Ryan, what does Bitcoin derive its value?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question.
Maybe
So
another slide, but he's asking.
Yeah, so there is no, what's the intrinsic value of a Bitcoin? It's just whatever people think it's worth, right? So it's not gold. It doesn't, you can't use it in applications for to produce goods, jewelry or what have you. So it's just really whatever somebody thinks it's worth. I guess there's the energy that was input into it in order to, to mine it, and that secure record that can't really be changed. I think that's really kind of something that you could, I guess, ascribe some value to. But yeah, it's just whatever the markets are willing to bear. So it's supply and demand. We talked about Bitcoin. There's about 17 million that's been mined so far. There is a cap on it. It will be 21 million, and the last one will probably be mined in 2140. So, most of us, all of us probably will not be around when that event happens. But yeah, so there's a scarcity to it. There's, a store value proposition, I guess, with it. And so, but with that, there's also a greater fool theory. So, is somebody willing there, people are thinking, okay, well, it's worth this much now. It's probably going to, continue to go up in price. So I'm just going to hold it, and somebody will probably buy it for, from me for more than what I paid for it. So, yeah, everybody's kind of got their own reason, I guess, for investing or speculating in cryptocurrencies. But again, very volatile asset class, tremendous growth over the past decade. Probably one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing asset class of the past decade. Now, whether that will continue, I don't know. Any value at some point, it'll probably be worth nothing. Question is, when does that happen? So,
All right. Well, I want to be mindful of people's time, so we probably got about 10 minutes or so if you want
okay,
to
yeah.
roll on
So,
through.
we can do this real quick. Yeah. So talked about Wyoming. So basically Texas has updated their uniform commercial code. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I remember from my business law days when I was going to school that, I think that has to do with commerce and kind of, how things, how companies, interstate and intrastate commercial activities, kind of dictates how things should proceed. And so anyway, again, in a bid to become more friendly towards blockchain and cryptocurrency, we've seen Texas update its UCC. State chartered banks can take deposits, crypto as a deposit. And so again, I don't know of any banks in Texas that have done this, but there are certainly firms that Anchorage I can think of as one. I don't know if they're working with banks, but they have the infrastructure to help sort of manage that process and identify which customers own which deposits, and take measures to ensure that it's secure and not hacked, and that there's insurance on it and stuff like that. So so that's an interesting development. Again, I don't know where that's headed. I don't know. I don't think I bank with USAA. I don't foresee them offering, to take my crypto, but who knows? They do have a stake in Coinbase, so maybe that's a plan for them down the road. And then we talked about Texas' position as a destination for mining activities. Again, we've got abundance of natural resources and fairly cheap electricity. So
Yeah, if they position themselves out in, I guess, Midland or someplace, they can probably get paid on some days for using the electricity because they've got all the wind power out there.
yeah. And just think of flaring too, if they could,
Yep.
burn the methane or whatever gases are coming out and using, converting that to electricity. I don't know if that's viable, but it's better than just kind of burning it, I guess.
No, people are working on how to capture that and use it. So yeah, that's another opportunity.
Real quick,
yeah,
real quick, I have a client that's working with some other investors on developing a crypto mining operation. And he explained why Wyoming and Texas are some of the hot spots. It's becoming less so, but over the last several years, the price of natural gas has been really low. And they've they've co-located crypto mining operations on ranches, et cetera, where they have only a small amount of gas, and they can't sell it at $2 MCF. And so what they do is they tell the farmer, we'll buy your gas and we'll put it in a generation system. We'll generate our own electricity right here on site. Don't need the grid at all. You'll get money for your gas that you can't put in the pipeline efficiently, and we'll share the crypto with you. And they started in Wyoming, and then they moved to Texas when the laws became better. And so that's one of the reasons Wyoming and Texas work, because there's a lot of small operations with natural gas they're having to just flare or cap. And so now the rancher landowner can make some money off of it.
So it's the same model as wind power, isn't it? That's
very similar.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Nice insight.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So there you go. So yeah, Texas and Wyoming are competing to be kind of the meccas for crypto operations. Yeah. So just thinking quickly about ways that within a business, small, medium-sized business, how could it adopt cryptocurrency? So again, I don't think a lot of people are going out and buying coffee with Bitcoin, but there is that capability. And so, if customers want to do that, there are companies that cater to payment processing. So like PayPal, I think Stripe, BitPay is one that's been around a long time that, a vendor can accept payment in a cryptocurrency and then immediately convert it into US dollars. Just in China, it's quite interesting because they go around and, everything's bought with a phone apparently. So, at some point I could foresee the US getting to that point where we don't even use, credit cards. It's just all on the phone, and, you're already able to do that in some places, just kind of tap and purchase things. The other thing that we've got here is, again, we talked about this before, carrying crypto on balance sheet. Again, highly volatile. So you're going to have gyrations in price, so I don't know if it really makes sense for that purpose, but I guess it's sort of a hedge against inflation. That's, perhaps another reason to have it on balance sheet. You get a little bit of feedback. I don't know if that's just me. Okay, there you go. The other thing that I think is really quite interesting is this concept of tokenization. So what we're talking about here is taking a liquid asset and basically tokenizing it. So creating a private token crypto asset, and that represents an ownership, fractional ownership or full ownership of that asset. So there's a outfit called Vertalo out of Austin, and I've heard them speak before, and they're quite interesting. So I think they've got a process in place where they can issue these tokens and help with cap tables and and kind of valuation of the assets and so on and so forth. But the other thing that's kind of interesting with this is there's a participation mechanism, and so we didn't talk about it in depth, but there's this concept of decentralized autonomous organization. And so these are token holders who are able to participate in the crypto sense, in how, what modifications are made to the blockchain, and, can kind of vote on these implementation ideas. And so it would be, I think at some point, and perhaps they're already working on it, is a way to have sort of voting rights in how a business is run. And instead of having proxy meetings and excuse me, and the like, instead you just have your token. You use your use your private key to log in and vote however you have a family business, vote on how the business should be run, something to that effect. So again, this is kind of just me riffing, but I could see that happening down the line. And then quickly, just some headwinds. So again, this is really technical. It's it's difficult for the average layperson to understand. I think the technology is becoming more user friendly, and with that, it should be seamless, and behind the scenes, you don't even realize that you're using cryptocurrency to transact. But again, this stuff is like, you have to have a computer science degree to really understand it. And then we talk about at the federal level, there's talk about, so the IRS feels like there's a lot of underreporting or not reporting of gains on cryptocurrency transactions. And so we saw with the infrastructure bill that there was this definition of what a broker is. And so I think they're trying to pull, more of the service providers in and have them report on these transactions, so that they, the IRS can tax appropriately and help pay for this infrastructure bill. But what we also see is that there's a potential threat to national currency. So in China, as an example, one of the reasons they kicked out all these miners is because they see Bitcoin and other cryptos as a threat to their currency. So, they're coming up with their own CBDC. They don't want any competing cryptocurrencies within their borders. And they see this as a way to really be a leader in this area, and then have the renminbi or yuan be sort of the the de facto reserve currency, maybe overtake the US dollar. So interesting to see how that plays out. And then the other issue we see is that people think of it more as a store of value than a medium of exchange. So again, if people just want to hold it and hoard it and not really use it to buy goods and services, then there's not much, money velocity there. And so, Bitcoin was originally invented to be a medium of exchange, but what you see it used as is really as a store of value because people, are hoping that down the road it's going to appreciate in value. So, so there's kind of that mixed, those mixed competing properties of it, I guess, and what it's used for. So yeah, so I think we're at time, but it's just, I think this is, technology in general is increasing. We already live pretty fast-paced lives. Mike talked about the phone. You think about the internet going back. When it first started out, you had message boards, and now you've got apps that you can use, and you can create your own websites. And so I think crypto is going to be the same thing, where it's just going to get easier to use. Like I said, it's going to happen in the background. You're not even going to realize it, and it's just going to compound on itself and accelerate. And then the other thing is you've got this happening at big corporations, and so I think you'll see it as the cost of technology is lowered, and even with crypto, you can use it, as we sort of talked about. You could accept payment in cryptocurrency, so it's it can be used in smaller operations. It doesn't necessarily have to be at corporate level, big corporate that's using it. But I think that this will just continue to grow and become more commonly used. So ultimately the question is, what does the future look like for cryptocurrency? Some libertarians are using it see it as a hedge against inflation and the demise of the dollar, and in that case then you probably have a dystopian view and think that it's good to have Bitcoin just in case as like sort of the ultimate hedge in case our society were to collapse. And then others view it as kind of improving society and giving, I guess, access to those who maybe are underbanked or unbanked, because it's really, it can be deployed globally. It is a global technology, and anybody can participate. So I think that's pretty cool. So that's all I got. I can take. Oh, here's some resources too, if you care to keep abreast of what's happening, because this is constantly changing. There's a lot happening in this space. These are just 3 websites that sometimes I get news feeds on, and they've got some interesting articles. They're pretty short, so there are other resources I could direct you towards, but I think these are just 3 easy, approachable ones. If you wanted to check those out, and there are hyperlinks in there, I can send you the deck after this presentation.
And super. I see Chris, Miguel, you have a comment or something? Want to unmute yourself and chime in, please? Are you there? There we go.
Yes. Hi. Yeah. It was just a chat question. I had to step out for a second, so I'm not sure if you did cover this, but I just had a question, like countries like El Salvador and others looking into allowing Bitcoin as a currency. How exactly can they handle the volatility of its value so that they can use it as a medium of exchange?
Sorry, I think I froze up there for a while. So the question was, how can they sort of hedge or ameliorate the volatility of the currency, the cryptocurrency? Yeah. Right. So so there are options trading. There's perpetual options. There's futures contracts. Those would to hedge against that fluctuation in price. There are stable coins. We didn't really talk about that. So that's really something that's pegged to the value of, let's say, the US dollar. There are sort of contracts around that ensure that the sort of like a money market, right? That it's not going to break the buck. It's going to be equivalent to the US dollar. one that I'm thinking about is USDC, which is I think with Circle and Coinbase is a stable coin that they have. So they try to ensure that they've got enough cash and government securities to as sort of a reserve against the USDC that they're issuing, and so they try to keep that 1-to-1 peg. So that's another way to sort of hedge against or prevent, deal with that volatility.
Well, that's another source of regulatory uncertainty. I think was it today they're pushing on, is it Circle that's the one that has the so-called stable coin?
Yeah, the USDC.
Yeah, right. And the concern is what's really behind. They say they have this stuff, but to what are the obligations? How much disclosure? There's no reserve ratio, all that kind of stuff goes that you think about when you talk about a bank. That's again another regulatory thicket, I think, with the cryptocurrency, even those who try and be stable currencies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments at the moment? It's had a lot to think about. I guess maybe one last comment from my point of view that, back to the use of it, we were talking about, in other countries or even in this country, apparently there is the challenge with the hacking, not so much of the exchanges or whatever, but if you lose your credentials or somebody steals your credentials, you could end up losing your cryptocurrency, and there's no FDIC to give you your money back. So
Yep.
you have to be aware that you are taking on a risk in that regard. That's one I was surprised about, but apparently that's a challenge that it doesn't happen often, but when it happens and it's your 150 or 200,000 or 2 million, it's pretty personal, and there's really there's no insurance agency that's going to help you out. So,
yeah.
Anybody else? Ryan, I thank you very much. I know it's a complex subject, and we've got a lot more coming at us as we move down the line. As you say, us in the, let me say, I'm in the baby boomers, and I guess I'll be moving stuff down to the next generation. And they certainly live on the computer. They live on their phones. My son can't understand why anybody would ever use a piece of paper to send him a bill or anything. So that's going to be a societal shift as people mature, and the Gen X's and the millennials and the Gen Y's and the Gen Z's kind of move around. And if you're in the business of buying or selling businesses or helping clients with buying or selling businesses, this is going to be more and more a part of what you're going to be dealing with. So I appreciate your effort, and again, wish I could have rounded up a little bit more in the way of upfront push, because it is really very important kind of subject. So, and thanks for Ray Fernandez to you for introducing.
Yes. Thank you, Ray.
Ryan.
Appreciate that.
Ray, as long as I mentioned your name, you want to say hello and give.
Ryan, you want to unshare?
Oh, well, can't see Ray's face anyway, so. Ray, you've got
disconnected.
Okay.
I got disconnected for a minute. I'm sorry. What was that?
Okay. You've got an announcement anyway, so introduce yourself and tell people what's going on with you.
Yeah, so our firm, Asset Management Advisors, was acquired by a multifamily office out of Chicago, Crescent is the name of the firm, and it's about a $15 to $20 billion multifamily office. So 10 offices around the country. So real exciting, good news to come. And just finished a year-long investment banking process and 8 months of due diligence. So glad to be on the other side, but now we've got 3 integration meetings a day. So busy.
It's good thing you're part of the M&A forum. You know all about that stuff, right?
That's right. I know where to go to get resources.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. We're gonna go quick. I mean, name, rank, on serial number. We're getting close to the witching hour, but Leto Thomas, can you jump on? Can you unmute and say hello and let us know what you're all about? There we go.
Hi, Leto Thomas. So I was referred by Ray.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm an IT consultant working for Trescope Inc. And myself and Ray, we are in the midsized community. So that is where I came to know about this group.
Well, we won't hold Ray's recommendation against you, but thanks for joining us. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Jag Singh, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Can you introduce yourself to the group?
Sure. Right now, I'm working with Western and Southern, doing financial advisory work. Sorry, I was hoping to make it there in person. I just was stuck in a meeting and joined a little bit late as well. Sorry.
Well, we ended up going all virtual because of the issues. If you joined late, we had a little bit of a round robin on what has the Delta variant done to you personally in the last 2 weeks. And so far, we haven't found anybody that wasn't tripped up a little bit by the Delta variant. So we went all virtual in line with the guidelines that are out there right now, given the level of infection. So we're hoping to get back in person. We miss it a lot. I was on vacation in July, so I missed that interaction. So
Is there a chance that he's going to share the presentation?
Yes.
The presentation has been recorded and it'll be available on our website.
Okay, thanks. Because I missed the first portion of it.
Sure. Yeah. Kyle, you're next on my screen here. You want to say hello to everyone, please?
Hey, everybody. So my company is Creative Heights, and we're a full service marketing agency. We do websites and design, and as a full service agency, we can pretty much do anything in the marketing space. And we did the M&A website. We did DGP Capital's another member group's website, and so if you need any help with branding or design or your ongoing marketing efforts, we'd love to help.
Thank you, Mr. George.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, George Kariski, Johnson, Jaluka, Kariski, and Gould. We are corporate transactional and trial lawyers, longtime member of the M&A Forum. Have the good fortune to know most of you. Look forward to getting to know the rest of you virtually in the short term and in person later on. If I can be a resource in any way, call on me. I'm happy to answer legal questions and chat about business anytime. So good to see everybody virtually. Again, look forward to the next in-person meeting. Thanks, Mike.
Chris, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, it's been I last attended, I guess, in person a few years ago. But Chris Collins with Silver Oak Financial Group, financial advisory firm, local here in Houston. Work a lot both with individuals, but for the purpose of the group here, work with a lot of small business owners, helping them fund buy-sell agreements, together key man life insurance policies, golden parachute style, executive comp plans, those kinds of things. We're doing a lot of that right now with small businesses here in Houston. So if any of that is something you want to learn more about or you're interested in, please reach out to me. I look forward to meeting with you guys all in person when that starts up again as well.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us, Chris. I lost, who did I just lose? I lost somebody. Wait a minute. We'll go back this way. Jim Eaton, a man who cannot be forgotten. You're still muted.
Oh, yeah, I'm still here.
Oh,
I didn't go anywhere.
Haven't run you off, have I, Jim? All right.
Not yet. I'm with Business Acquisitions, and we are business brokers primarily for Main Street businesses and small, mid-sized businesses, probably up to about 15, 20 million in revenue. And we think we do a pretty good job at it.
I think you guys do a pretty good job of it as well. Okay, yeah, we missed. Oh, okay. Is it Brianna? Did I get that right?
Not Brianna. Brianna is my daughter's name.
Sorry. Well, my computer shows up as Chris. So
what happened is when I clicked on the link, it captured her address. So I thought that I don't want to sign out and come back, and so I just stayed in.
All right. Well, give us the real scoop on who you are.
So I came to know about this merger and acquisition forum from Bob Vinson last year when we had a phone conversation, and I know Bob through one of his friends, maybe for the last couple of years. And I thought this year that I want to join with the group. Basically, my profession is I'm a CPA, but I ended up purchasing duffelbags.com back in 2020. That was one of my clients from 2012 onwards. Duffelbags.com has been started in 1988. We manufacture bags here in Houston. Also, we manufacture in China. So we bring in or we make bags those are blank, and the companies can print names, their logos, those kind of things. And we supply to some of the biggest names in the country, and we manufacture bags for them. That's about duffelbags.com. The reason that I joined the Merger and Acquisition Forum is I like to continue this path of acquiring businesses, small businesses. So if there is an opportunity for me to acquire businesses, I definitely want to be part of this group.
Well, we certainly want you to stay with us if at all possible, and we certainly would love to be part and parcel of helping you in a, I'll call it in a it's not a quid pro quo way. We just would love to help you with that next acquisition. And actually, may want to reach out to you and see if we could get you to talk a little bit about the acquisition experience you've had. But I'll save that for an arm twist on the phone. So I missed anybody? I think I caught everybody. I think we may have lost one or two folks because of timing, but so I will wrap it up with a final thought. Bob, if you want to roll the last slide, I try and, there we go. You may, or a few of you know, I've been out in the Pacific Northwest, actually at Mount Baker. I don't think this is Mount Baker, but I found that it was the perfect kind of way to end this. I did have a chance literally to sit on a bench like that and look at Mount Baker. Because I ran out of gas with my son and grandson who were continuing to hike. But advice, build your own dreams or someone else will hire you to build theirs. So Mergers and Acquisition Forum, we're trying to help you build your dreams. So let's keep on building. Bob, any last words?
Consider becoming a sponsor. If you're not already an annual member, consider doing that. There are a lot of financial advantages to that. We also, for those of you who are looking for a deal or have a deal, we have a deal listing page on our website.
Mhm.
So if you would like to get listed, if you're an annual member and you would like to list your deal or your acquisition desires, please feel free to do so. Give me a call if you need help getting that done.
Perfect way to end it. Put your objectives up, put your deal up, and we'll see if we can help out. So thanks, everybody. We'll advise regarding program and location and in-person versus virtual here in the next week or so. And we'll have the package that Bob talked out regarding sponsorship and membership as well. We'll get that out here in the next week or two. So have a great Labor Day, everyone. But please, 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 please stay safe. Keep the masks on. And that'd be wonderful. We'll see everybody back here in a month. Again, thanks, Lee Jones, for your sponsorship, as well as Bob and all the group. So Kyle, have a great one. We'll see you in a month. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.